Just Some of My Thoughts podcast is the audio version of Fedora Loves Poetry blog. Fedora has been igniting passion with her followers for over 5 years with her poetry, stories, and commentary. Now sit back, relax, and experience her passion for words, love, music, and life. I sat across from him at the table. He is so handsome, just like when I first met him almost 30 years ago. His light touch of gray lends to his distinguished look. So sexy. I shook my head because he is so sexy but also such an angelic spirit at times. Okay. Let's focus. I say to myself. What did you want to know? He asks. He was always direct. Respected that about him. Except when it came to his heart. That was always indirect. I wanted to know how you are and how that relates to me? I answered. From this point on, he begins to dig deep inside himself and tell me how he really is. He doesn't look directly at me, instead he directs his gaze to his right as he speaks. But I am looking directly at him. I know he is speaking truth because the last time he confessed his truth to me, he did the same thing. He averted my eyes and spoke from his soul. That one was a huge one too. So, I anxiously await his words. My current relationship is over and we are separating in the next 3 months. She says I am selfish. I stopped cheating for her. She agreed to allow me to have her anyway and anytime I wanted sexually, so there was no need for other women. I stayed with her only. You know that is not my norm? He says. Yes, I know that. I reply. She is not submissive, she doesn't take care of me, doesn't want to cuddle, and won't cook. I don't understand why she just won't love me. I don't hang out in the street. I go to work and I come home to her. But she complains that I crowd her. He says. I hear the pain in his voice as he speaks. My mind immediately goes to our past relationship and how he never would love me that way. I knew it was in him to love that way, but he always kept me at such a distance. I remember a time when I would do anything for him. All I wanted to do was love him, so I gave myself to him completely, especially sexually. I go to that place in my mind. I stood in front of him to satisfy his visual pleasure. My black thigh-high fishnets gripped the curves of my plump legs. The top rustled a little from the fullness of my thighs, as the garter clip tightened the grip. He loved the red garter and bra set. Of course, no panties was always the rule. My pussy glistened from the oil and moisture. What do you want, baby? I asked seductively. You on my lap? He said. I walked over towards him but stopped a few steps in front of him. I put my right foot on the table. Slowly I rubbed my fingers across my rock-hard clit. I moaned when they made contact. I maintained eye contact with him as I slipped my fingers inside my wet hole, collecting all the cum. Then I took my fingers out and put them in his mouth. He licked them clean. Then pulled me to him. I straddled him. His dick stood erect like the monument. I had to take my time. I slowly lowered my wet pussy on his head. Teased a little, only allowing the head to enter. He grabbed my hips. I motioned no. He loosened his grip. I continued to make love to his head. I felt the rush of cum from inside me. I submerged myself on him completely just as the orgasm hit me. Ooh! I screamed. The orgasm was intense and I began a steady stroke, allowing him to feel all of my heat. I stroked him hard and fast, gasping each time he hit the top of my pelvis. I took all of him inside me. You're so fucking beautiful, he said as he pulled my face to his. He kissed me while I continued to ride him. We got lost in a momentum of kisses, humps, bumps and pulls. We rode together this way until he released the waterfall inside me. I collapsed on him, spent from the emotional, spiritual and physical energies we exchanged. It was always that easy to get lost in each other. He continues to tell me about his previous marriage and how she went fatal attraction on him because she found out he was cheating. It sounded ugly. Thing is, I remember when he was dating her. He pushed me away just to be with her. Kept telling me I was only his friend, although he would melt just from me touching his hand. Who was he trying to convince, me or himself? I continued to listen. Now he is talking about how he doesn't want to do this again. He wants to live alone for a while. He needs to reconnect with God but doesn't really know what that looks like. I see the confusion on his face. As I listen, I am reminded of the many years I was always so conveniently there after every breakup. Always his ride or die. Until I crashed one day and I found myself alone. He wasn't there for me. I always knew he was in love with me, but he was also fearful of our love and would not allow himself to bask in it. So, he kept me away from him a lot, especially when his heart was tender for me. But loving him on and off like this for almost 30 years had taken its toll on me. That's why when he called, I suggested that we talk first. I don't have time to pour into empty barrels anymore. No need to stir up things if there is nowhere to go. I wanted to know if we could do the same things we used to do. I didn't know if you were in a relationship or even active anymore. He asks. Once again, so direct. He wants the same thing. I remember him telling me that one of his fondest moments between us was the first time we were sexual. He was amazed at how wet my pussy was and that it soaked my panties. Thing is, I don't even remember that night almost 30 years ago. But his directness is much appreciated today. No, baby. I have grown so much since you saw me. I give myself to those who want all of me. I am a package deal now. When I wanted to love you, you rejected me every time and dumped me for the latest and greatest. Now you come and want me to do the same. I stopped loving you years ago. I love myself now. I respond. I am not angry, surprisingly not hurt either. I didn't allow my heart to hope this time because, well, I know him. As I was talking, I had an epiphany. I realized that I have always been his 30-year fling, but he was always my love.
Just in case you haven't heard, Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. And there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Guess what? You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast, all in one place. So download the free Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. And follow Fedora on anchor.fm/Fedora Loves Poetry, the Just Some of My Thoughts podcast.
Why am I here in this space that does not fit my face? My heart is beating rapidly, feverishly trying to figure out what we are doing in this place that takes up all my pace and keeps me from doing the things God has for me. Why are choices repeated over and over again with similar people but different faces? Uncertainty, they label it when you can't answer the question, why am I here? Absence is in my ear, ready to embrace the race, destined to guide me to his place at his pace so he can finally see the smile on my face. Lovers, thank you for listening. Just Some of My Thoughts podcast is a Furmain Entertainment production. Follow Fedora using hashtag Fedora Loves Poetry on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Subscribe to my blog by visiting blog.fedoraloves.com.